Okay, so tell me a little bit about your work in the disability community and how you got started.
Yeah, so I guess I started like in college. I kind of knew that my goal was to help people. I wasn't really sure how. So when I went to college, I studied psychology. Um, and when I was in college, I started working at a summer camp for people with autism, and I loved it. So I started a part-time job helping people with autism in the community while exploring other options to support people with disabilities as a career.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it started. And then I landed in a master's program for rehabilitation counseling and psychology. Basically, rehabilitation in this context is figuring out what an individual needs to get a job and keep a job. But I didn't know that starting out.
Mm-hmm.
It's great though. I mean, for someone expected to be an invalid even forever, like it's I, working even 10 hours a week can give a sense of purpose or socialization, and even extra income is always nice. Cha-ching.
Yeah. If I could move on, like, tell me about your work in vocational rehabilitation as a vocational rehabilitation counselor. What's that all about?
Yeah, so VR counselors or vocational rehabilitation counselors work for each state government. I moved to Colorado after grad school. Most VR counselors have a master's degree, and I worked in the Greeley office in northern Colorado. And this was a decade ago, but I'm sure not much has changed aside from COVID precautions. Um, so back then, we'd meet with each individuals to basically develop a job goal. We would review their work history and what they consider their strengths to be, their top priorities, their interests, what barriers they've hit before or might anticipate coming across, all that stuff. And then we'd set up the services that they need. Um, and vocational rehabilitation services are government funded, so some of them require a financial needs analysis. They can't provide some services if you have plenty of income or savings, of course. But basic support services like having individual support while you're looking for and applying to jobs is VR's primary goal. Um, that's what they set you up with, the right person, and they can meet you wherever is convenient and help you find the job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, I've been through the process myself. Long
Mm-hmm.
story short, uh, it didn't work out as I had hoped, if I could put it that way. But that's the story for another day. Um, if I
Yeah,
could,
I'm in the process right now myself. I used to be a VR counselor, but I I am currently in that position on the flip side, a VR client. So I don't know what's gonna happen with it, so I understand.
mm-hmm. Yeah, what I was gonna say is, what sorts of stakeholders do you work with closely?
Well, vocational rehab counselors work for state government, so there aren't really stakeholders. The individuals served benefit from being in the community and having a duty, having a schedule, having an income like anyone else. The economy boosts a little when the individual pays taxes on their wages. So really everybody wins. There's not really a stakeholder in it.
Yeah, that's fair. My next question is, what impact does your work have on the greater disability community as a vocational rehab counselor?
At this point, to be honest, I haven't been a DVR counselor for several years since my own disability started. I'm now, as I said, a DVR client. So from this perspective, DVR is helping me find my next chapter. And I hope to also be an example to others when I do find the next job.
Hmm. Oh, so it's kind of a career transition in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, every friend that I've talked to has dealt with that career transition from one job to another job, so I can relate to that.
Yeah. Cool.
Um, yeah, like I guess my last question is, what can be done to really include and create a welcoming space for people with disabilities to, like find ways for them to find a job, uh, maintain a job, and then, because like you said, you were a client, and you're going through this process now. So from your perspective, I'm wondering what can be done.
Sure. Well, I would say don't make assumptions. It's okay to ask people with disabilities questions. Just start a conversation and go from there. That's why they changed the phrase disabled people to people with disabilities. We're all people, we're all different somehow. I mean, my disability is just part of who I am. So I think just having that mindset that, we're all people. Some of us have different needs and capabilities, whatever, but um, be open minded.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I heard that terminology too, where like instead of saying person with a disability or instead of saying disabled, sorry, you would say you would use people first language. I learned that in college, and that still
Mhm.
sticks with me today. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, it
Um, yeah,
sticks with me too.
yeah, yeah, it's important to remember that for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right.